And we are live. Hello, welcome to B+S Gaming, episode 14. This time with Bill. The last week was just a bad week for him. He had some stuff to get done, and then some work stuff he had to get ready for. How'd that go, by the way? Very good, very good. So, last week we heard my thoughts on E3, so let's say we get your thoughts on what went on with you, what you saw of E3. Right, right. We had already planned on this. Well, because see, EA didn't actually go to E3. They held their stuff like across the street, so it was like called EA Play or something. They've decided they're not going to set up a booth at E3 and pay for all that. If they're going to pay for the stuff, they'd rather just have it all them. In a way, you know. Yeah. And ironically, if you go and watch that trailer online, it's in 60 frames a second, but when you watched it streaming, they only streamed in 30 frames a second. I don't get it. Yeah, for 4K, yeah, you're right. Yeah. Mm, yeah. Yeah, we watched it on Mixer. Hmm. You're gonna try to wear that, aren't you? And you know who else did? Ubisoft. Oh, and Devolver Digital. I don't know if you ever saw that one. If you haven't, go watch it after we're done recording because it is funny as hell. Devolver Digital. They showed off an old From Software game that um, they're re-releasing. You basically play the president of the United States who fights terrorists in a mech suit. Um, it's supposed to actually be pretty cool, and they showed off another one which is like a battle royale, but it's like all maximum security inmates that have to fight for their lives. And it looks like it has some interesting things. But just the entire conference, which was all pre-recorded. It was kind of like a Nintendo Direct, but it was so funny, and it makes me want to go back and watch last year's because I hear last year's was really funny too. Oh, and there was a RoboCop reference you'll really like. Yep. Okay, I didn't look. Do they say it's native 4K or not? Because it seems to be running at 60 frames a second, so I don't think it's native 4K. Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. It's fun so far. Cyberpunk. Yeah, and Cyberpunk, they pretty much came out and said that they are very pre-alpha at this point. Even though they did like a 45-minute demo behind closed doors where one of their developers was playing, they said that that demo was like the most that they've gotten done so far. So I would not expect this game out until late 2020 or 2021. Easy. It's it was, and Cyberpunk looked awesome. It actually, yeah, it seems to be. I think they showed that going off in 60 frames a second at the conference. Um, and that's being co-developed by id and Avalanche, and Avalanche are the guys behind the Mad Max game and Just Cause. Mm. A lot of open world games tend to get that way because they tend to do the same things over and over again. And Just Cause 4 is actually on a new engine because this last engine apparently they couldn't keep it even getting to 30 frames a second on either the Xbox or the PS4. And it didn't look it. There were a few things that looked like when you saw like the watchtowers like the in the forest, that looked like that might have been a newer engine thing, but that could just be some enhancements they've made. But yeah, like I said, like they've been using that same engine since Fallout 3, and it's time to upgrade. But it's not real World War II. That's the thing. It's like their alternate history because they got people running around with prosthetics doing stuff, and it's like, look, in real World War II, if you got your arm or leg blown off, you weren't going back to the battlefield. That's all there was to it. Right. Mm-hmm. Did they show anything for that at the PC game show? I didn't watch that because that's been such a horrible thing for the past couple years that it's not even worth watching normally. But I didn't hear anything good come out of it. So, oh, Amy Hennig. Oh, mm-hmm. Hmm. Oh, with the glass, yeah. Yes, yes. The full Oculus actually. I don't know if it still does, but it used to come with an Xbox controller. Yeah. I'm not sure. Right. Yeah. Or Elder Scrolls 6, yeah. And it was just a logo. Yeah. Although Doom Eternal, I mean, again, it's just an announcement that they're making it, but Doom 2016 was awesome. So I have hopes for this Doom Eternal. I really do. Did you end up checking out the Sony conference at all? No. Mm. Yeah, this one, right. Well, if you had read some stuff, you probably heard how the pacing was weird. Oh, yeah. So what they did was like the first part of it, all the journalists and stuff, they're in this like tent and there's just like hanging lights and people are like, "What is going on?" And then, like, the guy who does the soundtrack for The Last of Us comes out and plays some banjo. It's like, okay, that's kind of cool because it's a cool soundtrack. And then it's like it goes into the trailer and they go, oh, we're in the tent that they're in. You know, so that was this whole experience thing that they were going for. And they showed a trailer, which looked really nice, although I will say some of the things that they're claiming were gameplay, I'm kind of iffy about, because like there was one part where Ellie, the character, is like running from a dude, and then she like squeezes between some shelves to get through an area, but there were no button prompts. And that's not anything that, you know, we've been playing games long enough to know that right now you can't really do that in a very natural way like that without some sort of input, you know. But the trailer looked good, but then what happened was they took like a 15 to 20 minute intermission because they had to move everybody from that area to the main area. And it just completely destroyed the flow of the conference. Absolutely destroyed it. Yes, that there were some people talking outside. They were talking to Jack Trenton or whatever his name is. They showed a couple trailers, like for some Black Ops 3 maps or something like that. And you're like, what's going on? But then, like, the actual games that they showed were really good looking. And I was like, wow, this is actually really impressive. And they did show off, it was just a trailer, but some people got to play like a half hour of it at E3. The Resident Evil 2 remake trailer was in there. And that's using the Resident Evil 7 engine. And it's no longer like the fixed camera angles and everything. Now it's like Resident Evil 4, where it's behind behind the shoulder thing. And it looks pretty awesome, I have to say. I was really impressed with that. I was like, I really liked Resident Evil 2 back in the day, and now this is going to be like a completely new version. I'm in. But yeah, all the games that they showed off were really nice. But again, you know, the problem was the pacing. That whole intermission just destroyed the whole flow. They showed off that new Kojima game, and like I said last week, nobody knows what the hell it's about. But Lindsay Wagner's in it. Like, the Bionic Woman is in it. Okay, great. That's awesome. But what the fuck is the game about? Yeah. Yeah, I think he gets masturbatory satisfaction from doing stuff like that. But that game is probably, again, not till 2020 easy, if not later. Spider-Man was the last thing they showed, and it looked awesome, and that comes out in September. So we can say that, yes, this was probably real gameplay. You know what I mean? So, and then there was Ubisoft's conference, which I really didn't watch. Although I know they started out with Just Dance, which... Yeah. Yeah, I want to say right around the launch of the Xbox One X is when it came out. I think this one's not coming out till the end of the year, so a year. Yeah. I said last week that that's a series that they need to take like 2 years off between games. To get some good ideas and get them going. They did that before the last one, but then now it's like right back into that yearly thing, and not every game needs to be a yearly game. I'm not sure. Yeah, I don't know. I didn't hear anything about any of that. The only other major game I know they releasing some stuff for Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six, and then Tom Clancy's The Division 2, which, as long as they continue with what they've done from the Division 1 and how they've improved it, it could start out really good. Whereas the Division One, it started out kind of meh, but then as the two over the past 2 years, they've really improved that. Mm-hmm. We could do it. Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. Hey, I love Battletoads from back in the day. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, what did you think of? Well, unfortunately, Phantom Dust was supposed to get a whole remake at first, but mm, and Nathan loves it. So, um, so what did you think about the Microsoft announcement of, well, the one new studio they created and then the four that they acquired? Undead Labs, yeah. It's Undead Labs, yeah. Which says that they could really now improve the game because they're going to have extra money. When they bought Respawn, I know. Mm-hmm. Oh, and that at the EA press conference. Like, why even talk to Vince about their Star Wars game if they had absolutely nothing to show? Yeah. Current Microsoft. Right. Thank God. Mm, yeah. And then Playground Games are the ones that make the Forza Horizon games. Okay. But, well, they did say that they were actually bringing on like another team to Playground, and there's been a rumor. He didn't. He just said that they're working on something. You can't wait to talk about it later. But the rumor is that they're going to be doing a new Fable. but that's a rumor. We have to stress that. And then, no, I lost interest in Fable while I was playing the first one and falling asleep while playing it. Then there's Compulsion Games, which they're doing the We Happy Few. Maybe. Yeah, well, I also heard that beta was not. It was like more of a free roam style thing, and there wasn't much story. But there is supposed to be a story. We'll see. The game's supposed to be out in August, so we'll see. And then, kind of the big surprise, I think, was them buying Ninja Theory. The people who made DMC Devil May Cry, and they also made the game that came out last year, Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but that now Senua's Sacrifice. I haven't played it yet. I could have had it on my PC. It's out on the Xbox now. I could have gotten it on my PS4. I haven't played it yet, but it was one of those that people are calling it like near triple A, double A, if you get what I'm saying, because they were a small studio, only 20 people worked on it, but when you look at the graphics and everything they did in it is like it's up there at triple A quality. Yeah. That also tackled schizophrenia, I believe. Yeah. But not just schizophrenia, but schizophrenia in like ancient times. So, yeah, it's kind of weird. But they were kind of like the big surprise when I heard. I was like, wow, like that's kind of a big announcement there. And then the Initiative, their new studio, ran by the guy who was in charge of Crystal Dynamics when they made Tomb Raider and Shadow of the Tomb Raider, which some people are calling Microsoft's quadruple A studio. Yes. Yeah. So the guy who like was in charge of Crystal Dynamics when they made them is going to be in charge of this studio. Um, Nobody knows. Literally, this studio was just founded, so there's not even any leaks coming out of it yet. Because that can depend. That could depend. They probably wooed Gallagher into running it. And then he probably had people that he knew that he could bring in. That he knew, he's worked with before, that that he knows they can all bounce ideas off each other and come up with something. So that might be how they got it started. And then obviously they just have to fill it up with other people to help make it. But that's, again, we probably won't even hear anything from that studio until 2020. Like, even an announcement. Yeah, and that was actually kind of the same thing with the Sony conference. Um, Last of Us Part 2, they didn't even give a release year. Ghost of Tsushima, they didn't even give a release year. And Death Stranding, not even a release year. So everyone's like, well, when are these coming out? Mm-hmm. Well, yes. That Days Gone game that they were showing off the past couple of years, that comes out February 22nd, along with Crackdown and Anthem, and I think like 4 other games. There's going to be games moving, definitely. I expect Crackdown to move maybe into March because of that, because I don't think Crackdown can go up against something like Anthem right now. I don't know about Days Gone. That may or may not move. But there's a couple other games that were announced. Oh, Metro was announced for that day too, I believe. Yep, yeah, it might have. But I think they said February 22nd. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I think when we saw the trailer, it said February 22nd. Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if there was an actual playable demo, but there might have been. There might have been a playable demo. They might have just played that. Mm-hmm. Right. Right. Yeah. So it's well, so they're not loot crates. It's more like what Titanfall or um, they just said microtransactions, I believe. Yeah. Im- Improved a bit. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But yeah, I expect there to be some games moving around because of that game on that date. So yeah, that's basically E3. I don't think there was really much. Ooh, pardon me, my Diet Coke burps. Have to really come out besides that, except like I said, for everybody who went to that behind closed doors cyberpunk thing, where you find out that it's actually first person. The whole game is in first person except for like cutscenes, and when you're driving, apparently you can go third person there too. Yeah, a lot of people at first were like, "Oh my god, this might not be any good," blah blah blah. But the people who saw it said it worked, and it worked fine. So, and look, like I've said before, CD Projekt Red has yet to do me wrong. They do have a Netrunner class. Mm-hmm. 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 Yeah. Oh, and you know that the creator of Cyberpunk 2020 is working with CD Projekt Red, right? Yeah. He actually he I've and he's been in some interviews and he's loving what they've done so far. So hope, yeah, yeah. And hopefully it'll be good. Hopefully, please, CT Project Red, do not fail us. Your only hope. There's a full day-night cycle, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because, you go back to the old Cyberpunk 2020 game, and the reason that people sort of picture it being always night is because all the artwork was done for nighttime. Or black and white, too. Mm-hmm. Right. Yep, yep. And to hide the crane bringing down the flying cars and stuff, yeah. That's mm. No, no. I think we're good with that. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I don't know if anybody really does have any details why, because the lawsuit wasn't in the U.S. It was in South Korea, where they might have had a better case based off of South Korean copyright law. Pretty much, yeah. For to say copyright infringement. Um, exactly. Now it could be because Tencent does own a percentage of uh, Bluehole and PUBG Corp, but also Epic. And Tencent might have gotten involved saying, look, what are you doing? Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, I will say I'm a little upset that Tencent does own what is it, like a 20% stake in Epic or something like that. It's not insignificant. Right. It's not major, but it's not insignificant either. Um, that's the only thing I don't like because, right. Yep. And you know what? Uh, if you actually watch the Ninja Theory video that they put out the same day that it was announced, it's like a 5-minute video about why they got bought out. Is they were saying the same thing, like, yes, Hellblade was a success, but there was no guarantee that in 2 years we would even be here at this point. And I think Undead Lab said the same thing in an interview recently, that this just ensured that they can keep going. And it's a shame when you get some independent developers that get that way, especially when they're putting out good stuff. And Epic has always been independent, and like you said, they've made a lot of money doing the Unreal Engine. But you notice that Unreal Engine 4 isn't quite as big on the consoles this generation as Unreal Engine 3 was in, say, the PS3 and the 360 generation. Yeah. So, because now Unity's around, and it's not quite as good, but it's still decent. And you've got other developers now that are making their own engines and working with that. So, right after. Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, because that's how Unity did it, and um, free. Yeah. Especially South Korea. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah, it does. Yep. I haven't played it in a while. Right. Yeah. Right. Did you play on the desert map too, or just the original map? Yeah, because they apparently have put the desert map now into the main game so you don't have to be in the public test server on the Xbox. And then later this summer, I believe at the same time as it actually fully gets released for the PC, is we're going to get that jungle map. And then this winter, there's supposed to be like a snow map. But, um, yeah, I just haven't really played it that much. I find it more fun to play with friends, just because, like, me and my friend Ashley and her husband Mike and some other dudes we would play with, we just banter back and forth the whole time. Right. Yeah. Or you come into mine. Right. Or I go into yours. There is a way though, because I did play with Drop Shock. Drop Shock Sniper was he played with me a little bit the first night I was playing, and there is a way with rucksacks that the people in your game can drop those rucksacks off for you instead of for themselves. But I think it's only rucksacks. I think so. Yeah, I think he's. Yeah, but normally, like if you wait a minute, maybe I'm thinking about it wrong. Well, no, not the rucksack, but like if you loot a container, the stuff that you pick up, if you put it into like the base, does that go into the person whose games you're in base? Okay, so you would have to keep it on you then in order to take it with you. Oh, okay. Right. Yeah, the thing with Fallout 76 that some people are worried about is the PvP aspect, but Bethesda says that yeah, but they've said that they've made it so that you won't really be able to be griefed by somebody over and over again in PvP. So we'll have to see how that works. Maybe, maybe. So I guess the other thing I wanted to get your opinion on with the Fortnite, since we were discussing Fortnite. Um, so it launched on the Switch, and when it launched on the Switch, people were pretty happy because you have a lot of people that have, say, either an Xbox or a PS4, but they also have a Switch, and that you could use the Switch either for somebody else in your household or as a you're going mobile with it, you're portable with it. I had made the reference last week, like I would only put it on my Switch if, let's say, I was coming over your place or somebody else's place, and it was like, hey, let's play some Fortnite while you're over. I can't play with you on your Xbox, but if I had my Switch and I had my Fortnite on there, I would still have all my stuff, and we could play together at the same time. Okay, and so the big thing that got people pissed off though was, it turns out that Sony is locking out people from being able to log in on their Epic account. So on a third party account on either the Switch or the Xbox, if they've ever used their Epic account on the PS4 ever. Oh, no. If that's not it. If I were to, I have my Epic account linked to my Xbox. Okay, well, I have a PS4. If I were to then put my log into my Epic account through my PS4, I would no longer be able to log into it through my Xbox. Once you link it to the PS4, you are locked out of ever being able to use it on a Switch or an Xbox. It must be some deal they have with Epic. Because, no, but the screen that pops up when you try to get on a Switch says that Epic's website nor their help desk can help get rid of this. So it's obviously, there's some... It's an Epic account. Sony has some deal with them. It has to be able to lock this stuff out. Because Epic is the one that controls the accounts. You know, you see what I'm saying? Right. Well, yeah, the guy, he runs, I think it's Daybreak, the people who make H1Z1, and he used to be a high-level executive at Sony. And he came out on Twitter and said, when I was there, the basic gist was it's about money. And that Sony doesn't want you to be able to log into that sort of account on, say, an Xbox or a Switch and be able to spend money on those consoles and then bring it back to your PlayStation. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Yes, yes, yes. That's what the dude said, is like it involved money, and that Sony doesn't want you to be able to spend money on another console and then use whatever you spent that money on Sony's console. Business wise, financially, that makes sense. It is. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep. Yep. Or no, the actual thing was that we want people to want it so bad that maybe they'll go get a second job to get it, because the original price of the PS3 was $500 for the PS3 GIMP version, as I call it. It didn't have Wi-Fi. It didn't have the memory card readers. It didn't have a lot of stuff that the actual PS3 at $600 did. And it's funny because I've actually noticed some people have come out and said this, and they're like, we're starting to see, because Sony is so far ahead again. Okay, this is, it's like the PS2 era with how far ahead Sony is. Because the PS2 blew the GameCube and the original Xbox out of the water as far as sales. Okay? But what happened then was the arrogant Sony showed up and said, $600, Ridge Racer, that sort of stuff. Yes, it did. And it looks like they're getting back to that right now, because they're like, people, these game journalists are trying to make it sound like people are upset that there's no crossplay. And a lot of people don't really care as much about the crossplay. Okay, a lot of people are saying, you know what, the crossplay, if Sony doesn't want to allow it, fine, whatever. But locking someone's third-party account to a PlayStation, that's where people are drawing the line and getting mad. Because, now granted, the PS4 has crossplay with Android, iOS, and the PC and Mac. But, this whole money thing, I guess they don't see the PC and the mobile markets as direct competitors, because nothing's stopping you from buying the shit on your PC and taking it over to your PlayStation. Oh, yes. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. But like I said, we're seeing the arrogant Sony come back. And arrogant Sony doesn't sell consoles. The PS3 showed this for the first, 3 years of its life before the PS3 Slim came out. They were super far behind. So this arrogance of Sony, people really should watch what happens with the PS5. If they're going to start doing the exact same mistakes that they made with the PS3. Hold on. Why is he saying he can hear me but not you? I don't know. Let me see. I see you. You're moving when it does everything. Tools, options. That's kind of weird because there's people watching, and I would have thought somebody would have said this earlier. You know what I mean? Well, I have the program up that does them from everywhere. Right now it's YouTube. Skype is set to the same as my headset, which is going into my thing, and when you say something, I watch the audio meter move. Like, go ahead and say something. Yeah, I mean, I can see the audio meter move. You can't hear Bill at all, Brian? And suddenly, we just jumped up a whole bunch of people watching, and I don't know why. Why? Oh, this... ever since I had to switch back to HDMI, because there's a bug with the 980 Ti and DVI, where every now and then it just decides, I'm not going to send any signal to your monitor, and the only way to do it is you have to unplug both of them, and you got to like wait so long. So I said fuck it, and I plugged in the HDMI. But ever since then, now I'm having an issue. Okay, hold on, let me see. That is really weird. I really would have wished that somebody would have said something earlier. Yeah, it really is. Yeah. Yeah, we do. Hold on, let me see. Speakers. Let me try hitting that. Okay, say something real quick and then see if Brian can hear you.
Alright. Jerry Lee Lewis was a rock star.
Okay, now that's coming through my monitor, unfortunately, and not my headset. But I don't know if Brian heard that, or if he just heard it through my mic. Oh, I'm going to have to redo everything on this. Alright, audio settings. We're going to put you back to high definition audio. Save. Unless my... Alright, now say something. Two things I can agree with. Yes, I have. Yeah. Somebody said I should do it after I saved one time. I did. I'm like, oh, so that's how you do that. And apparently on your Xbox, it keeps track of how long you run around with no skirt or no pants. I was like, okay. Nope, nothing. Really? Yeah, I'm really upset. I'm sorry for those watching the stream. And I'm sorry that you didn't tell me that nobody could hear you, Bill. And I'm also going to be sorry for the people watching on the YouTube video later that you can't hear Bill. We're going to have to figure out what's going on with this. I might have to get that there's a program for audio. I used to have a version of it on my Mac. I might have to get something like that. Oh, well. So, sorry about that, people. Man, we were having a decent conversation, too. At least, you know what? You should have the website set up soon, right? Okay. And what we'll be able to do is, in all future episodes, once the website is set up, there will be links to go listen to the audio as well after we're done recording. So. All right. Well, sorry about that, people. Sorry. So I guess I'm Sam, and who can't be heard by people on YouTube. And I guess we'll catch you later.